one. And we're live! Hello, friends!
Hello!
Happy Monday, everybody! Hey, it's a new dungeon cooldown. Happy Juneteenth. Sending so much love to everybody. I know some people aren't working today. Amazing. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. You got me, the MPB, and Mr. Adam Slemon here. Cristobal the Fabulous.
The MPB.
I know.
That.
Thank you. I didn't even intend it, but there it is. Let's just go with it. I just want to point out that the ensemble I'm wearing today is inspired by James Quillis and Bingle from Campaign 1. I'm wearing my James Quillis shirt, and I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt over it. I wanted to wear the funky librarian. I wanted to rep a little Bingle this morning. So here we go.
You look great, buddy.
Thanks.
You look great.
Thank you. Just tell me that, and it doesn't have to be true. Very festive, since Angel Devilson. Hi, friends. I'm seeing you in chat. Melodies of Old, Orbiter Pluto, hello. Not a crit fail. Always good to see you. 2-0 Mask and friends. Hey. We got a lot to talk about today. Yeah, a real emotional episode last week. I just feel like lore and story are getting dropped left and right. So we kind of wanted to get here with you all and sort of, let's try to put it in order. Let's get some theories like we like to do and figure out what the heck is going on.
Part of me was like, Ron was just like, they're not gonna get it. Look, guys, here, this.
We still might not get it. We
still don't 100% get it. We're still gonna go left when he wants us to go right. But
I don't know. We're gonna see. Yeah, right. We got to get to it. The collecting of evidence against Baron Medjalon is a big thing. I just want to say as well, we're going to get into some spoilers from last week because some big stuff happened last week. And we don't even know what happened during Coco's secret room. So you guys, you, the chat, might know more than we do. Yeah. I'm sure you do, actually. But there's
Glentar, the Centaur Mentor.
Glentar, the Centaur Mentor.
Just the name makes me want to have been a part of that secret room.
So amazing. Yes. I think we heard Ron practicing Glentar's voice at one point. And that's all I've heard. But we got some wonderful questions from Patreon. Go to patreon.com/thedungeonrun to be even more a part of supporting our show that we love doing for you all. I want to just say as well, we premiered a new segment on Patreon last week called Short Rest. That's a hit. It's a big hit with y'all, and we are so happy. It was honestly, we just realized it was like, this seems so much fun, and we have so much great energy after the show, just sitting and talking to each other. Let's just turn the cameras on and get this and share it with you all. So enjoy Short Rest. We're going to keep doing it after every episode. We'll just turn the cameras back on for another 10 minutes or so, just so we can decompress with each other and laugh and have fun. And it's super chaotic, as if you saw, where it was just us talking about the story, but finding out all kinds of things, like the fact that Serena almost stabbed your dad.
Yep, that I could see her doing that too.
I could absolutely see her doing
wild
that.
card, and then Serena,
And that's available to all patrons $5 and above. That's exclusive to Patreon, but that's available to all of our patrons. So get on that. Tiny Misfortunes say they love Short Rest. Thank you so much. Just Jules, I think. I want to read something Just Jules posted about it. That it was something like it was the serotonin boost she needed. Short Rest was. That is wonderful of her for saying so. We appreciate
we all
it.
Need, really.
Honestly. But yeah, we're so excited to keep doing that, and we're so glad you guys enjoy it. By the way, just getting some business out of the way up top, we received some of the more stuff from Dogmite, and
I was hoping we'd do it on this, by the way.
Well,
sorry, keep talking.
There's only so much I can do right now. Hey, Ron. There's only so much we can do right now because we're going to do some unboxing videos. Look out for this stuff. However, I can confirm that we have received the Traveler Dice Tower for our giveaway.
It's super cool.
It is It is a gorgeous, absolutely beautifully stained and carved wood. And what it is, it's literally only like this big, but because of magnets and just the way they really cleverly put it together, you can turn it into your own little mini dice tower that you could probably even fit in your back pocket when you were done with it. It's fantastic and it's beautiful. So we're really excited to do the giveaway for you, our community members. I'm just saying it now. We're gonna do it next. We have no show this Wednesday. Remember that, folks. So this is our off week. But so our show on the 28th. will be our giveaway for that awesome Dogmite Dice Tower. So get in there live if you can. Not a great Vale says, I love a good magnet, I must say. Agreed.
And speaking of rescheduling, for those who weren't able to watch this week because we were live on Thursday instead of Wednesday, we apologize. But we got to have Carrie. Yeah, that's why we did it. We got to have Carrie on Thursday.
Yeah, we were kind of like
worth it.
We were either going to. I'll just say this. Yeah, Ron and I were like, all right, well, maybe we can do something fun, do something one-shotty for Wednesday because it wasn't going to work, and then literally the players revolted and said.
We did. We really did.
And said, Josephine and I absolutely were like, not.
No.
Yeah, and it was like, and it would mean we'd be away from the story for another week. They're like, no and no. And I'm like, all right, you guys call the shots. So we're like, we're going to do it Thursday. Yes, I'm so glad they did as well. And reviews are in. The response to the last episode. I mean, the response to these last few episodes has been so amazing. But we've seen people call that. I saw someone on YouTube call this past week's episode a top 3 episode of all time for them. Ooh,
thank you.
Thank you. That's some big words, and we're really appreciative of it. Thank you. Big words. Well,
those are all really small words, but they mean a lot.
They mean a lot. 140 episodes of this show about at this point. I mean, sheesh. We're so grateful. Thank you all so much, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. Let's see. We talked about short rest, talked about no show on Wednesday. Let's get into some of our first questions. Speaking of the amazing responses to last episode, we got a wonderful question from Red Robin on Patreon. Thanks, Red Robin. Always good to see you. Last episode was beyond amazing. Thank you. I was floored by all of your performances. Adam, what was going through your mind as you were having that emotional interaction with Gast?
You guys, it killed me. That just killed me. I didn't expect that to be the interaction, but I got there to the headspace that I created, with Gast who's sitting in front of me, and I realized, Cristobal realized that Gast is the first person who's ever truly taken care of him, emotionally, physically, she has been, yes, she's officially, I think they're they, but they have done everything from beginning to end to take care of Cristobal selflessly. Just, what do you need? Here. And initially, that comes across as programming, but you've seen Cristobal interact with his father. He doesn't know who his mother is. And so to have a being just so selflessly give of themselves to you, I mean, it's heartbreaking. And on top of that, it's, Cristobal, again, comes from a court-based culture, right? So it's all like, what can I do for you so you can do something for me?
Right.
And she's like,
no, everything's transactional.
Yeah, and there was nothing transactional about it. Everything that I've given to Gast, I have given, there's been nothing material about it. It's just her being, or they being alive and in the world and experiencing things. So yeah, it's probably the most deep relationship Cristobal's ever had. Then it's with a robot.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, and again, did not expect that to be the situation. I thought it was going to be real simple, in and out, and then me and Ron started talking to each other, and then he pulled a little baby out of his chest, and I'm just like, you son of a...
Well, and yeah, kudos to Ron as well in that scene. Ron beautifully played the other half of that scene, and he didn't let you off the hook at all. Because, I mean, this asking for a sacrifice, kind of... Well, and we did acknowledge that it wasn't clear how much of a sacrifice it is yet. But... And it was like, it's one thing for you to give it to me, but now I need to give it to someone else in order to save them.
And then it didn't work.
It didn't work. Oh... And Ron beautifully played it, that moment of like, all right, well, I found my mask, and Ron like, cool, so I can have it back now, and you're like, oh God, he's gonna make you say it.
Yeah.
It was so, it's not mean, but it was just, it was getting to that that core of the conversation. Like, oh, that means I can have it back.
And see, and that's what's so beautiful about playing these immediate wants, you know, and I feel like I do my best to do that with Cristobal as well. It's just like, what I hear what you say, I base that off what my immediate want is, and I just respond.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what triggers these. And Serena's fantastic about that too.
Yes.
And I think that's what triggers these like really emotional moments, or these like really, you know, crucial moments to the stories, because you get there and you're just like, well, no, this is what I want. Right. I mean, I know there's a number of reasons why I wouldn't say this or not do that, but like when Gast is like, good, I can have my mask back, and you're like,
the reckoning that's gonna have to, the emotional reckoning that's probably coming with that as well is, there's a kind of metaphor to be made for, yikes, this is gonna get a little dark, for cycle of abuse, because you had to take your mask from Ball.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a reckoning to come there, because even if Ball is just an automaton, which he seems to be, we're learning that the automatons have more and more sentience than we have been putting on them. And that is a real bummer unto itself, because
but see,
I think I even had a response when Ball came down the stairs, and you were like, well, what am I? And I'm like, oh God, you got to take the mask from the other robot's son. Come on.
But here's the thing. Gast has their own mask, right?
Right.
Other robots or automatons have their own mask, which leads me to believe that Ball either has their own mask somewhere, or they haven't done enough to earn said mask. And my dad was just using him as a proxy.
Yeah, how did he, do we know this? How did Gonzalo, I keep wanting to call him Gustavo, Gonzalo.
No one can say his name.
I know, Gonzalo. Gonzalo.
What's funny, you want to, real quick, his actual name was Gonzago, but because Ron said Gonzalo, I'm like, we're going Gonzalo.
Oh, it was one of those. Okay, yes.
Fine by me.
That's happened from time to time, right? Where it's like, it came out this other one, sorry. Did Gonzalo go to the wall of masks to get Cristobal's mask?
So, I mean, when Cristobal first
Ron's
went there...
mad you outed him. Sorry, I'm kidding.
When Terry Ron. You know, when I was first in the City of Glass, it was a very emotional moment, and Gast had led me all the way to the wall of masks.
Right.
And I was hesitant to take my mask for a number of reasons that I won't get into.
Yeah.
And so instead, Gast was like, well, you can have mine. And that was that. And so it's like, it's which is really amusing to me, because again, it goes to the selflessness of the action. And so when all y'all come back and you're like, I don't trust those robots, I'm like, I trust them implicitly.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing? It's how the relationships can change in these stories, and how, I mean, Cristobal yourself is a perfect example where, you know, he shows up as such a fop, and then his storyline just has so much more put on, and a lot of this was already obviously on it to begin with. The stuff with his father not knowing his mother, all of that was there, but just being forced to reckon with what all it really means. It's one of the things that I love about this kind of storytelling, unlike that I haven't really come across in any other place, besides just a really long-running TV show, I guess.
Sure. And I think I think the most interesting thing is when you as a character, you introduce things to someone like Ron, the DM, and you're like, look, this is where Cristobal is at. So throw whatever you want at him, and I'll react to it, and he will grow. Or he won't grow, but no matter what, it'll be a natural reaction. Right. And that's what's so fun to me. Like, I don't want to overplay him with Ron. No. Like, I remember when Ron and Jared were getting into my backstory, and like, so the mom thing, what's got to do with it? I'm like, I don't know.
That's a gift.
That's
for you.
Whatever you want to do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, go banana sandwich with it, you know? Or the thing with, you know, what is Cristobal's relationship like with his father? And I'm like, tenuous.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you know, go from there. And then, Yeah, Ron is making these beautiful decisions, like that first scene when I met my dad, in the afterlife, and y'all are standing there, and then he called the robot ball, but I responded, and it was
One
like,
of
mwah!
we tried to clip it and it didn't quite like work in that format. One of the most like like moments at the table, and we were like,
Oh, they did the other thing where he's
awkward
like,
doesn't quite doesn't quite exactly capture it. Go ahead.
like he also made the spell book for me, but he had Ball make it, and I was like, oh, so you had Ball do this for me. You guys, I don't know if y'all can see it, but like I swear to God, Serena's reaction was like,
We were all like, ooh, ooh, he's replacing you. No. Oh God.
oh, it's amazing.
I
so
know.
amazing.
It's
Ron did a
so
great
good.
job.
It's so good. Yeah, it's really, it's been some amazing stuff. I'm trying to say, oh dang.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, yes, I was thinking about like not knowing where certain things are going. You just sort of create. Jeff used to talk about that all the time, and still does. But where it is, that happened a lot in campaign 1, where you would accidentally give yourself gifts for the future, or give your future self these gifts where you're like, I didn't know what that was when I started, and then it was exactly what I needed at this specific point in time later on. Yeah, that's beautiful, and I love that. Just and then keeping track of stuff, because you'll never know what's gonna come from what. I love that. I love that.
Totally.
But yeah, again, just the growth of Cristobal, seeing where all it's going. I guess I wanted to get into it a little bit, and if you can't answer any of these questions, let me know. But
there is very little that is not an open book with Cristobal.
Got it.
So
okay, so your first time talking to Lumbra was in your session 0, yes? No.
Technically,
not until you died.
Technically,
You still
I don't
haven't.
think I've ever spoken to Lumbra.
Fascinating. Okay, cool.
Don't know. Well, because here's the interesting thing is that I had cursory knowledge of Lumbra, because Lumbra was not a god that was heavily worshipped on Taos or Mechas.
Yeah.
It was considered an old god, a dead god, so to speak. So when I went into the mirror after I died, and I interacted with like Gast and the City of Glass, and then eventually I went and got my mask. Like look at that. Look at this kind of
a little bit of a rhyme. Yeah.
A little rhymey there. Slant rhyme.
Gas, mask, glass. It was a gas, man.
Right. Well, it's like I don't know. I think it was like a situation where I may have just interacted with Umbreth. But I'm not 100% sure, because again, Gas is 2 people.
Yeah.
Gas is 2 different people that have merged into one.
Or Lumbra is.
Oh, sorry, Lumbra. Thank you.
Yeah,
Lumbra is 2 different people that have merged into one.
Right.
So the idea that like I kind of went in there and I was like, oh, this is what I'm understanding Lumbra to be. And then now actually getting here and spending time with my dad and understanding the difference in like the Umbral governor, the Radiant governor, the different sides of Lumbra, the Lumbral, all that. Like, yeah.
Wait, so who gave Cristobal the Lumbra mirror? Your dad?
No, the Lady de Perron.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know if your dad... How'd your dad get here in the first place?
Don't know. Do not know. It's a number of questions that I have.
Yeah.
That like my dad has become a man of faith.
Yeah.
Right. And we are in a place.
That was an awesome moment, by the way.
Yeah.
Serena pulled that out of I don't know where that moment where she was like, he's lying, or she just caught that.
Right.
I was like, what? The perfect moment. I was like, he said something's perfect. Who cares? And then it was like, whoa. Yeah, Ron says it too. Almost caught me off guard. Yeah, we were like, what?
Yeah. Well,
It was a
and
beautiful moment. I love that.
Right. And you're talking about something again that is beyond strictly an intellectual connection, which is all I've ever had with my father.
Yeah.
So to start talking to him about faith, about the afterlife, about his beliefs, you want to see two really uncomfortable men have a conversation. That's what that's going to be. So it's not that I don't have interest in all these things, and especially for the sake of the story, I want to know.
Sure.
But like, it's kind of like one of those things where you have all this stuff prepped that you're going to say to somebody, and then you see them and they go right back to treating you ostensibly the way they always treated you. It's kind of like that idea where like, I'm back at high school at my 20-year reunion. I'm going to show so and so.
Immediately infantilized.
Right. You're immediately back to exactly who you were.
Yeah, everything kicks in and you're like, oh, here I am again.
Oh,
you turn into Otto.
Come on, you guys. Yeah. The way Jess and Carrie can imitate Otto and I cannot makes me so angry. I'm like, oh, you guys do it so well.
I know. Oh God. There's so much. It's so good, and I'm worried. I'll just say it. I'm worried for what all of this means. Yes. All right. We have more questions to get to that I want us to make sure, because we're already we're burning through time and we love it.
Oh, sorry.
We have so much to talk about. There's just been lore drop after lore drop lately. Tapartos on Tapartos asked us a couple great questions here on Patreon. Just coming right at me with, so Morgan, no echo. What's up with that?
Yeah, Morgan. How's that feel?
Not great. I think the moment in the last episode where I very clearly stated to you all that I don't, the echo's not a ghost. This was something that Morgan knew about the echo from day one, but it was something that Val didn't know until that secret room in episode 18, 19? The one where we were evading the trolls.
Right.
And
where we empowered the female troll to take
loved it.
back.
Crushed it. So good. That's right.
Patriarchal society.
Heck yeah. But that secret room was when it really, like, that secret room was really heart-wrenching, because it was Val being overwhelmed with, like I said, hundreds, thousands of versions of himself. And they ranged from, and the one that got Jared and I a little teary-eyed in the midst of it was literally like a child version of Val, from like a specific memory of his regarding his father, and like, and a nice time with his father. It was like, oh God. Yeah. Tuamask is asking, is the echo gone for good? I don't know. I hope not.
This fascinates me too, because like when you started the campaign, you didn't have the echo. You didn't know about the echo. At least that's how you were playing it for us.
The echo
like,
didn't show up until episode 6.
Yeah, so when the echo showed up, we were like, what is that? And you're like, oh. So yeah. It's either that you've been lying to us, which I don't think you were, or it's like, so now you've come to rely upon this thing that you've never had, and now it's gone.
Yeah, it's that multiverse image that I've talked about before, that was actually kind of inspired by Everything Everywhere All at Once. That version of yourself that, every time you make a decision, I have, and I'm sure we all have, but I have a few that I can think of, what you think of like pivotal moments in your life, where it's literally like sometimes a literal fork in the road. When I moved to Los Angeles, I had a literal fork in the road. My rent had run out on my place in Washington, D.C., and it was like New York or L.A., New York or L.A. And I literally chose L.A. over a couple extra factors. And I think about that moment, and now my life is what it is. And now I'm married. I love my wife so much. She's such a large part of my life. I would not have met her if I had moved to New York. Like all this stuff. My career is so different. All these things. And I think about that moment a lot, not regretting it at all.
No,
but just kind of like, wow, that could have gone another way. And it was thinking about those kinds of moments, and how often those moments hit us, often probably when we don't even realize it. And and so I was like, the original idea of the Echo Knight is of this dunamancy and of the specific type of dark elf magic, and it's very cool and but that didn't interest me as much. And this is often how I do character creation and find things, is I will look around trying to find a mechanic or trying to find something and go like, oh, I like the outline of that. Now let me break it and reform it into something that works for me on a character level.
Sure.
So having said all of that, I have no idea. And Val doesn't really know what it means that it's gone. I mean, this feeling on the surface, Val's like, I'll be fine, probably. I mean, stiff upper lip a little bit, but also, you know, because he hasn't had the Echo that long. It's saved his life multiple times at this point. But I think he's scared for what it could mean. And
sure.
that voice that said he's mine, you know, I don't, do I belong to something else now? Like, what the heck?
I don't know. You're going to have to fight your Echo? That'd be fun.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't know. God knows what Ron has in. Well, and something tells me, and I could be wrong, the Echo could be gone for a while or forever. I don't know. But something tells me that mural of the two-headed dragon, which is Val's patron? That's not right. But Val's kind of god of, you know, representative god.
Yeah.
The fact that that's apparently down here in this underground section tells me that there's at least Val is hoping to at least get some answers, if not some help, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's the long and short of, but for now, I mean, look, Val's still a 6th level fighter. He's still got some cool Dragonborn stuff he can do, and I've still got the Piercer feat and the Mage Slayer feat. So yeah. I'm just gonna be playing a fighter, and
fight.
Yep, fight. So fingers crossed for me, folks.
Well, and if we can keep Carrie in the party, I'll feel a lot better about it. Like, yes. You know, here's the other thing too: is Serena's a badass.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of fighting, you're a badass.
Serena's a badass. Serena's a badass, but she never does what you expect her to do, which I imagine is so amazing for Ron.
Yeah.
And Jared as well, where it was just sort of like, well, they're gonna fight this thing, and Serena's like, no, I'm not gonna fight this thing. I'm gonna charge and run into its chest.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
So we're I mean, I feel pretty good about like Cristobal turning into more of a support character, and I hope Josephine stays with us for a while, and she's a great support character. And
I think we're such an interesting layout of the party. I mean, and by the way, speaking of Rhea, then Taparto's next question. So Rhea's a changeling. What's both your characters' takes on that? Val doesn't know what a changeling is. I think that tenuous line of trust with Rhea that has established, trust might even be too strong a word. Where I said it the other day, where it's just sort of like, I don't think Val trusts her enough, where it's just sort of like, I don't know what she's really about. But she's along for the ride, and she's proven herself useful.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely don't distrust Rhea in that respect.
Yeah.
However, Cristobal's picked up multiple inconsistencies with their story, which is nagging in the back of his mind about what's going on. Yep. And that's fine, because at the end of the day, they can say whatever they want to say or be whoever they want to be, as long as we're all on the same page going towards the same goal.
Yeah.
It's when they take a hard left or a hard right that we can have that confrontation, that we can be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you've ever even been to Mechas, you know, like that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Val is weirdly calling on a lot of his business experience in the City of Glass, and with Rhea specifically, because it's a little bit the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Sure. But it's a little bit like, look, this is a temporary, at least what's seeing right now. I love Josephine. I want her to stay around. You know, I want her to stay, and I think she will. But good. Like, But for Val, I think it's very much like a temporary partnership.
Sure.
You know, and I think I even said to her at some point, like, all right, this is going well for right now. If you're gonna betray us, could you let us know first?
Well, you know,
because our interests are aligned right now, and that might change, and so you might have to go like that. So if you're gonna go like that, could you just give us a heads up?
Sure. And there's always that attitude of like your character will always take the easiest path laid out before them. That is my honest to God opinion. Like if you're writing a story, if you give your character an option that's easier, for the most part, it will take it.
Yeah.
Right. So Rhea comes to us and is like, I know the city. I have a relationship with both governors.
I'm also bothered by the weird stuff going on.
Right.
Like, yes.
I have the ability to heal. It's like for us to be like, nah, and then walk away from that makes our lives so much harder.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to be all good. You know, it may be the very real possibility that Rhea stabs us in the back at some point or has their own, you know, like Phaeocian type of needs that they're trying to meet.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, we need this thing. Yeah. We have to take this thing. It's like when that episode where Jess was going to lose their arm from the disease.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, well, no, I mean, you have the ability to heal them. What do you need? Here is that thing you need to solve this problem. Will that cause more problems down the line? Sure. Yeah. But, you know, so did that free drink you got at the bar that one time. You know? I'm thinking, who says no to that?
Yeah, it's that. I think we were almost literally fumbling around in the dark until Rhea showed up in this class. Totally. So yeah, we'd be fools to. But also, it's. So what is it? What is the fact? What's our take on the fact that she's a changeling? I mean, it does start to. It's been so go that, but so we haven't fully reckoned with it yet. But Val's definitely like, what are you, man?
They also haven't said they're a changeling.
No.
They have not. And you have said that it is not a spell.
Yeah, it was very clearly said by Ron in the first time I noticed it, so I felt okay going like, that wasn't magic. What was that?
Sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, Cristobal brushed that aside because, and this is no dig on who Val is, like Cristobal hasn't had time to study it.
Fair.
Cristobal's the the aficionado of music, but of magic, and music.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like he's been experiencing all sorts of weird magical occurrences since going to TOS. Like
True.
He, you know, the nature magic that exists up there, which he didn't think even existed. He knows about sorcerers, but to watch Otto do their thing. So like, and we're in the City of Glass.
Yeah.
And we don't know who or what this person is.
Yeah. It's really hard to get a baseline of what's what's real, what's not, what's magic, what's not.
Especially because they hid that from us. They hid the fact that they were a changeling from us.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't. And that in and of itself speaks to, again, I do not know they're a changeling. I don't exactly know what they are. Because the minute I hear the word changeling out of anyone's mouth, I can start doing arcana, history, magic rolls up the bazoo, and I'll learn stuff really quick.
Yeah.
Or I will,
There's some metagamey aspects of that, too, because Tapartos asked, so they would be from the Feywild, I assume, then, so that'll be fun. Morgan thinks you're probably right.
Yes, agreed.
I don't think
Adam definitely thinks that's what the case is.
I don't think, and also I think we're also getting the hints of Departo says you'll make all those checks and roll a lot of ones.
Yep. Wait. I bought new dice, everybody.
But fair.
I bought new dice, everybody. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Amazing.
I'm sure they're gonna treat me so much better than my 6 pounds of dice I already own.
Oh my gosh. Dogmite also sells cool dice, by the way, folks. Go there, use our code Dungeon Run for a discount.
Nice.
And not to mention Die Hard Dice. Thank you. We love you, folks. But so. Yeah, I mean, but I'm also kind of getting the Feywild connection from the couple things we've seen. The worm moment.
Yep.
What the heck was that? And then the moment that got kind of downplayed this last episode, where what happened when Rhea grabbed Coco's body?
Yep.
That's what caused embraced Coco to come out.
Yep.
And what the heck was that? And there was like a greenish maelstrom of energy for a little bit, if I remember how Ron described it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very clear to me that also Coco and Rhea probably have some sort of connection too. I don't know if they have like a personal connection, but I think there's probably something story-wise there as well.
There have been some roles going on. There have been some roles going on.
But often, like, even non-metagame-y, the last session, Coco pulled me aside and was like, so what's up with Rhea there? How's things going? And also, there was, as soon as Coco left, Rhea was like, do you really trust Coco? I mean, do you really trust her?
Yeah, that was like, very direct. Yes.
Yeah.
We just got a raid from 16-Bit Eric. Thanks, Eric. Good to see you, friends. Adriosa's right at the head of the pack. Thanks, Adrian. It's so good to see you, friends. Thank you so much. We're so happy you're here. We're chatting lore. We're chatting D&D. We're chatting Feywild. Hey, Eric. But yes, hope everyone's having a wonderful Monday. Hang out with us. We love y'all.
Morgan, what is your favorite aspect of the Feywild? Like, as like metagamey wise, like you as Morgan know the Feywild. So tell me what your favorite aspect of it is.
It's kind of one of the obvious ones, but I do love the everything has a personality aspect of it. It is emotion in the form of landscape. you know? And that is so. You could do anything with that. I mean,
well, that's just it. Like, you can go into a situation and, you know, if you want to try and get something from someone, your first instinct usually is to logically approach them. Like, you need to give me this because of X. But you could sit there and be like, happiness. And and, you know, that can affect the whole conversation and the interaction. Like, I love that. I think that's so cool about the Feywild.
It's just the potential for... So that's what I love about the Feywild is the potential for chaos, of course, but also just the potential for like surprise and deception and everything that you just can't expect. Yeah.
Because motivations are so unclear.
Yeah.
Like, it's very simple in like the real world where it's like motivations are usually love or money or power. Like, those are the things that drive you, right? But in the Feywild, it can be like the way a rock smells, you know, that starts a war. You're like, you don't know.
You don't know. Makes total sense in Feywild logic.
Makes total sense to them.
Lacrimursus also says, whimsy. Yes, of course you love the whimsy of the Feywild, which of course you have to pronounce whimsy. Whimsy.
Oh, when Cristobal gets to the Feywild, which I hope we eventually go to the Feywild, he's going to take so many notes about the fashion and bring all of that back to Megas.
He might never come back.
I may not. I'll be like, nope, this is where I live now. This is where I belong.
Goodness. Okay, actually, this brings us to an interesting point of Rhea mentioning the Feywild, and I think you clocked it a little bit too with some of the inconsistencies in Rhea's story and not quite knowing where it's going. Who's Rhea's god?
Yep, don't know.
Rhea, she is a trickster cleric. And now, I think she's signed a free agency deal with Lumbra.
Agency deal?
She's signed it
for like 6 months.
We'll see how it just 6 months. Let's see. Maybe we'll get a player option, team option type of deal at the end. Sorry, nerds. I do watch a little bit of sports now. I'm kidding. I'm such a nerd. But Lumbra is not a trickster god.
No, Lumbra is the furthest thing from a trickster god, and that made me laugh so hard when she said that, or when Josephine said that, and Ron was like, I go, and Ron goes, roll religion, and I got like a nat 1. And he's like, yeah, trickster god, yeah, of course, yeah, Lumbra's a trickster god.
And the only trickster god that we know of so far, the characters know of, is Aitha, is Saint's god, which is the god of air and wind, and also
Aitha is not a god.
Right. Well,
Aitha is a it's a demigod.
That's
it's
a
not like a
demigod.
true god. I mean, I would argue that, like, are there whole religions based off of Aetha? I don't think so. You know what
No,
I
you got the
mean?
sense that Saint was of a small sect or whatever you want
Right.
to
It's like
call it.
people never worshipped Hercules. They worshipped Zeus.
Right.
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 So it's that idea of,
But the
okay, sorry, I
primogenies,
didn't mean
no,
to
it's
take you
okay.
off the.
But I guess for someone, this gets into where for somebody to be a cleric, doesn't that make them a god?
Well, that's just
Josephine's in
just
chat.
it. Oh no! No!
Nothing. Whoops. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about not talking about who your god could be at all. No, that's not happening.
I mean, it's very possible. And here's the interesting thing about the way Rhea describes their magic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they describe their magic in a very organic way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, the way that I've noticed that very, mystical, fun, lack of a better term, kind of fairy-esque way
Yep.
for some of it.
Yep.
For some of it.
Yep.
And then some of it they don't.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I'm wondering if coming to, Lumber's domain, maybe they had something to do with. I don't know.
I
A lot
do
of
think
questions.
Jeff's pantheon from season 1 and the Ein pantheon, I do think there was a couple gods that could have landed under the realm of trickery. So it might be one of those. What a reveal that would be. I don't know. But I'm not sure.
But the other thing too is, Josephine's an experienced player. It's very possible she took the idea of trickster cleric and changed it, warped it to fit a storyline that they wanted to play.
Yeah, and
as like I'm a Blade Song, person, you're an Echo Knight who does not fit into that standard weave. So I mean, I'm super curious to see. Hopefully, we'll learn more about Rhea. We may never, because you want to talk about a tight-lipped person. Rhea's the tight-lipped person.
I mean, it's really like you think you get under a layer, and then there's 20 more layers. And I love it. I'm so impressed. Just for the record, Josephine, we love you so much. You're sneaky. You're super sneaky.
Super sneaky.
Super sneaky. By the way, I call out to Dungeon Speedrun buying gift subs for these amazing raiders. Thank you so much, Dungeon Speedrun, gifting 5 gift subs. We love you guys. Thank you so much. So we're happy to have you all here. So yeah, so there's definitely some Feywild connection. We got one more big question that I want to get to, but I want to, before we get there, because it's connected to the Feywild and it's connected to, I think, Rhea and all of this, which is the end of last episode. Which is the reveal of the worms under the ground.
Okay, wait a minute. Like, yes, but
let's clarify exactly what happened and then what it means.
Okay, so here's what we know. We know that underneath the when we were in the
shattered
warehouse,
expanse, right?
Okay. No, when we were in the warehouse,
yes,
there was the tub of ooze,
yes,
right? And it was taken by tremors, right? Like something came under the floorboards, grabbed it.
The famous Owlin play Tremors. We all know it.
Tremors,
yes, correct.
And then when we all went, or I think you went down to explore those tunnels, there were a ton of large tunnels, like
some of them were pre-made and some of them were dug, like just dug by some sort of creature.
So you know what's funny is right now I'm rereading Dune.
Oh.
Right? And I'm sitting there going, okay, so the worms created the spice, right? So I'm like, do the worms create the obsidian, based off of their, or create the sludge off of the obsidian? Like, they feed on the obsidian and kick out the sludge? I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Thoughts.
Yes.
You're right. Hellfire,
Let's not skip over what we saw on the way down to that final chamber, which is
boring through tons of obsidian.
And it was almost as if it was quartz-like rock that seemed to be becoming obsidian.
Right.
Right. Dungeon Speedrun says, "Bless the maker and his sludge." Oh God! We're such nerds. I love it. So, could that be Negulon? Is that progress? has he found a way to make obsidian organically in the city of glass?
Well, see, but here's the thing, right? Obsidian is a tool of the astral dwarves, right?
Yeah.
So if
Right.
if wherever we are right now was a place at one time that was occupied by the astral dwarves,
Yep.
and the because remember there is like the old school mural down underneath the earth, right? So it's possible that this was a place the astral dwarves lived. They mined, as dwarves often do, obsidian, right, to use for all of their rigmarole. And then, just like our friends, the astral dwarfs, were corrupted, maybe the obsidian somehow got corrupted, and the worms are like they used to be. Like just like on Arrakis, the worms aren't good or bad; they're just the worms.
They're just the worms.
Right.
Well, okay, but wait, but the worms. Oh, the
Again, we're
creatures
assuming
underneath.
they're worms.
Right. Well, because, and I think, and Ron, if you're in chat and you want to clarify this, I think what he was saying, so we thought they were stars. Like,
what do we think were stars?
The description at the end of the episode was we came into this final chamber and it was dark, but there seemed to be things above us that looked like stars.
Glowworms.
Yes, but they actually were glowworms. I'm imagining similar to the Feywild worms.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm jumping a step too far there. That's
maybe
where my
they're
mind
little
went
baby worms, and we're in one of the nests of the little baby worms, and we're gonna have to fight Big Mama Worm.
No,
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
We gotta be in court. We got a court date. Like right now.
I'm sorry, we can't do this right now.
God.
Or we show up to the court late. And we're like, I'm sorry, I had to fight a giant worm. So I didn't mean to be late.
Traffic was terrible, and we had to fight a giant worm. Woo, boy, that was terrible. Okay, Ron has said no, or at least maybe not necessarily that those aren't the Feywild worms, because that's where my mind went immediately. So many worms. An Orbiter Pluto asking, did Coco put worms the first time in the City of Glass, or did they not dig through the dirt?
They were
think so.
So Coco was going to put worms
and I think we
down,
decided
but I don't
idea.
think they did, because Ron specifically described the ground or the earth as being like mineral deficient, non-existent.
That's
like
right.
It wasn't real dirt.
And I think you're right. And I also at the time being like, I don't know that you wanna Queen Mab City of Glass feels like a real dangerous combination to me. Maybe don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then Carrie threw a worm to Josephine, which caused something to happen. We're not 100% sure. And then Josephine threw the worm, and the worm hit the ground and didn't burrow. It just died.
True.
Right? Which is how Cristobal now has a worm in his pocket.
Oh, you grabbed it, didn't you?
Of course I did. Are you kidding? Of course I did.
All this is going to come back and get us. Oh, God. Josephine is in chat and on the record saying, I don't like worms. I mean, I can't disagree with that. That's completely fair. Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Well, we got one more big question that I want to get to because it's kind of a broad question, but I like it. From One Big Union on Patreon. This season has been so different from season 1. I agree. First, you are plopped in the freezing mountains with people you don't know and immediately have to run and survive. Then you lose a party member and gain another one. Then you follow a direction that leads you to soul-sucking wasps, a labyrinth, then the Hanging Gardens. Then another party member gone, transported into a different, very weird plane, only to find yourselves donning masks, meeting a new PC, and serving a new god of the afterlife? Wow. So the question is...
But see, there's no question in there.
I know
that's a very accurate statement.
Yes,
this
is the mission, or this is the thesis statement to begin with. Now we get to the question. So the question is, what's it like as players to navigate this world and this storyline? It seems like there's so little time to find your bearings, so to speak. I think I would feel my head spinning a little bit, and not necessarily in a bad way. Sorry for the long comment, but this stuff has been swimming in my brain for weeks. No, we love it.
No, it's great.
Thank you. I mean, it's a valid question, and I do think we actually have been finding our bearings weirdly in the City of Glass more. Because I feel like we've all been coming closer in a way. I know how Val is responding, which is Val is not the big brain certainly not of this party, and not Val is not the big brain that James was in campaign 1, for instance. So I think at the end of the day, what's been my kind of like benchmark is exactly what you said earlier, Adam, which is like that immediate need and just staying practical. It's like, how do I get to what I want? And that's probably going to cause some long-term problems, because it meant giving up Thasha to side with Lumbra, at least for now. Because otherwise we weren't going to get out of here. So it's like, if we ever come to face with Thasha and she's like, you guys, forsook me for Lumbra, I'll be like, well, if we didn't, we'd be dead, so we wouldn't be any good to you then, would we? Is basically probably what Val would say. Again, it's what I said it earlier, but it's a little bit Val, like, going back into a business mindset of like, sometimes you got to make partnerships in order to get the deal done, and then sometimes you'll be friends for 5 minutes and enemies later. That's just how it is. Otherwise, I'm here to get this done, and I'm here to, I want to kill this corruption. I want to save our family. I want to, do all of this. And I want to actually protect the people I'm with too now, and that's newer, but also there. And so I'm just keeping my eye on the ball, and that means I'm probably making a ton of little day-to-day mistakes, because I'm just trying to keep my eye on the big picture. Yeah.
Interesting. It's a great question. I think for Cristobal, like, actually talking to my wife about something like this earlier, like every time we think we have our life somewhat under control, a new curveball comes along. Sometimes it's a curveball that we choose. Sometimes it's a curveball that the world chooses. And I feel like that's what happened a lot to the party, is that a lot of curveballs just keep coming at us.
Yeah.
And what I think has really started to click with us is we're connecting as characters more and more.
Yes.
Like, we're seeing the emotional, the physical struggles that our people are going through, and we use that as our anchor, right? So just like my wife and I go through the stuff together, whether it be needing a new roof, getting a new dog, whatever,
right? It's
like we still have each other to anchor us.
Yes.
And yes, I completely agree with you that so much has been thrown at us,
right,
like since the drop. And the fact that we now have each other, and we're starting to see how the individuals react to whatever the given circumstances are, and we're supporting them, I think that's what's giving us the cohesion that we've lacked a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. No, and I think that it's about so much. Hey, Bearded Bear, how are you? It's been a little more centering, and a little more like, all right, this is what we're here to do. And I mean, it was very hard for Val, obviously, getting dropped into the City of Glass, because I feel like Val was starting to go, like, get some direction. And then it was like, nope. Like, oh, come on, and certainly life can feel like that all the time.
Sure.
Not a crit fail ass, has what Val wants changed since the beginning? Oh, yeah. I mean, I at the beginning, Val just wanted out of there. I mean, I would surprise you how late into the campaign, if Val had an out, he might have taken it. It would surprise you how far into the campaign. Probably, I don't know when the exact moment was. It's probably somewhere in the teens, where, if Failshin or somebody had come up and said, hey, give me this one thing and you get to go home right now, Val would have done it. And that might surprise you, how far into the campaign where Val was at that place.
See, that's really interesting, when we talk about like character motivations and things, because like Cristobal isn't good enough to go home. Like, the idea that he basically was in a wizard's duel and he got his butt kicked, and the only way he can go home is if he gets something more, and like rose, be it power wise or whatever. And so it's interesting that Val would have gone home, because I don't think Cristobal would have. Like, as scared as he was, right, he knows that he either deserves to die out here, or this is the test that he needs. And he'll glom on to whoever he needs to in order to survive this test. much like Serena's gauntlet. Uh, but yeah, it's in there because like Jess was the same way. I remember Jess's character was like, I gotta get home to my sister.
Yeah.
And I totally got that, like from your guys' point of view, because you have this need to go.
Yeah.
But like, just speaking from Cristobal was like, well, no, I mean, if I go home, I'm just dead. Or like, yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I actually think that was a little similar to Val, though I think it took him a minute to realize that. I think, and Not a Crit Fail asked, was there an event or person or information learned that changed that for Val? I think kind of, certainly the meeting with the dragon, but also before that, realizing the extent of the corruption and that it all was going to make things bad for everybody everywhere. I said it at some point a couple episodes ago, but it was literally like, Val, sure, I should be home maybe with my family, helping the family business, but I suck at business, and I'm not sure my family wants me there. So maybe this is what I should be doing in order to be of most help to them. And that's a bummer. But I think it's true, and I think it's how he validates it to himself at the moment. But of course he cares about and misses them and hopes they're okay, and he's doing this for them. I mean, the tragedy of all tragedies would be that he does do all of this for them, and they never know. They never know what he's going through for them. Because I think that's how I think he does care, but my session 0 was emotional and rough. And it was, him even trying to reconnect with his siblings after the death of their father, and them being very mad at him because in their minds he left, which is not inaccurate. He did.
Oh, see, in my session 0, I got to eat Jell-O.
I know. I was there that day. I didn't watch it, but I did see the Jell-O. Oh my god. Gosh. Yeah. Sad boys.
Mm-hmm.
Such sad boys. Oh my goodness. Yeah. With some kobold friends, Deberto says. This is true.
Oh yeah. Some interesting kobold stuff.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, man. Well, I think we've answered everybody's questions. I hope that answers some of your questions. One big union. Josephine says she did watch your session 0. Cool. That's excellent.
My session 0 or your session 0?
Yours, not mine.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah. I think, and so it has been quite. It has been interesting finding your balance. I think we've talked about this, but the difference between... Oh, Ron has a question. Okay, go ahead.
Ron has a question.
Throw it at us. I do think that Campaign 1 had very kind of a classic call to heroism type of thing. And this campaign had it too, but we were a little more unwilling, at least for a while, because of how we had gotten dropped into it, which I think was all of us sort of playing our characters well and playing like kind of what we were doing and what we were into. I mean, and yeah, Saint, it was about like trying to rescue her sister. For Val, it was Val just trying to get a bead on his own life and figure out like how to be of service to his family and the people he cares about. Ron asks, what are your thoughts on the origin of Baron Medulon?
Are you me or us?
Both. I'm assuming both of us. The origin of Baron Medulon. Oh, by the way, oh God, we buried a biggest thing is that we now know what the skull, or we at least have a pretty good idea what the skull is now.
Yes, we know where it originated from. Yes,
don't know what it means necessarily,
right?
But we now know that the skull, it just took, what, 25 more episodes, Adam?
Yeah, something like that.
You didn't need to cast that identify and lose your eye at all. We found out.
I think that's what Ron and Jared were hoping when they, like, I got into the group. They're like, great, the Wizard's going to start casting identify and we're going to start learning stuff. And then the first time I did it, no eye. I'm like, oh, never doing that again.
So bad. Oh, God, it's so true. All right, but the origin of Baron Medulon. I mean, Well, okay. So the origin, I'm not sure. We saw those portraits in his tower. We saw, boy, and we didn't,
Which was a trap.
it was a trap, so we don't know how much to take that. What do you know about where Baron Medulon came from? What is he Baron of?
That's just it. So in my session 0, he showed up from Mechas.
Okay.
And he was trying to so that's where he showed up from. It's where the Wizards Challenge came from.
So yeah, he's an opportunistic guy. He's an opportunistic.
Sure, I don't know if he is. So go with me on this.
Sure.
Reinhold was an astral dwarf, right?
Yes.
Nagrok was an astral dwarf.
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah, because remember Nagrok spelled backwards was Corgan. Right.
Right.
So I'm wondering if Baron Medulon is an astral dwarf of some kind.
I mean, he appears human, at least we think.
He does, but then Nagrok was a skeleton.
But we know, though, they don't necessarily have to be astral dwarves to be on the sides of these people, because Grimora is definitely not an astral dwarf.
That's a good point.
She's a giantess or a half giant or something.
That's a good point.
I'm not sure Nagrok was an astral dwarf.
But see, if you go back and you look, but that's just it. If you look at it like the astral dwarves created everything, right?
Yeah.
So we have this image of what an astral dwarf looks like.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that's what they look like.
True.
Like, especially if they're trying to merge the spheres like Reinhold was trying to do, or what they've become, they could have evolved. I'm personally thinking that maybe Baron Medulon is one of the people, because he's trying to accomplish the same thing Grimora and Nagrok are.
Right? Well, I don't know. He seems a bit more nakedly opportunistic in his own right. He might just be teaming with them to carve out his little slice of heaven, and he's like, I'm gonna take the city of Lumbra for myself. I don't know about that.
It's also interesting because then you got to ask what the astral dwarf's relationship with the gods are.
Right.
I'm
not sure. What did you face in the tower when you found the skull? Dead people. Lots of dead people. There were also the 7. There was the the various signs of the primogeny. There was the earth, the fire, the earth. The venom. Right.
That was a huge part of it.
Yep. I gotta go back and watch that. It's been a minute.
Yeah. There's a lot, man. There's a lot.
So much, and I think we're gonna get. I mean, yeah, I had stuck with Medulon as kind of this, this guy who's was already involved in this and was unhappy with the balance of the City of Glass, and so it's like, I'm gonna take this place over.
Maybe.
Which he might just be, and so he felt
Baron did say origin.
True. I don't know.
He said origin, which means he came from somewhere.
And by the way, we also know that astral dwarves and the giants, or at least the frost giants, were for a time in alliance, and that they did have children. So maybe what do you get when you combine an astral dwarf and a giant and a frost giant? I don't know.
I know that's a video I don't want to watch in health class.
I mean, that's where we gotta end this today. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it is almost 1:10. Thank you so much, friends. We love you. We have so much more to, obviously. I feel like we barely scratched the surface, but thank you for your questions. Thank you for your chats. Thank you, Raiders, today. Thank you, Dungeon Speedrun and Tuo Mask with your gift subs. Patrons, get over there. Watch Short Rest if you haven't yet. It's a real blast. We're going to keep doing it because we enjoy it, and you all enjoy it so much. Yes, thank you, everybody. FF GoGo, they're talking about the writing on the walls in the Sunken Tower, which I think is episode 5?
Ish, yeah.
Right, okay. Anyway, all right, we love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. No show on Wednesday, but we'll be back next week with a full week of stuff. We got so much more cool stuff, including that Dogmite giveaway that we mentioned for a gorgeous Traveler Dice Tower that you all are going to get a shot at. But we love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Anything else, buddy?
No, that's it. We love y'all.
Listen to Adam's podcast. It's called Bat. It's a wonderful podcast about mental health and it's really frank and funny, and you should absolutely listen to subscribe to it now.
Thank you so much.
Of course, man.
We've been really blessed with the response. So
Yes.
thank you, everyone who is listening. And yeah, tell your friends, especially if you know someone.
All right. We love you, folks. Talk to you real soon. And yeah, humankind. Be both. Bye.